Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers, and welcome back to another monthly roundup. This is the video where we talk about all the things that we've been testing over the past month that we've not been able to talk about in some of the other videos that we've done. Okay, so let's dive in and see what we all picked this month.
Already hear the grumbles of discontent at the £80 price tag for these Janji 8-inch trail half tights, and I get it, that is a lot of money to invest in a pair of shorts, but I'm going to shout about these anyway because I'm still on a mission to find the best half tights that have the most storage. Now, I mentioned before, I tend to layer my half tights under non-line shorts, and recently I'm loving the flexibility of having half tights that come with lots and lots of stash space. And these Janji shorts actually are right up there. They've got a total of 7 pockets. You've got 2 double-tiered side pockets, so there's 4 side pockets in total on the legs. Those will happily swallow an iPhone 15 Pro Max. You've also got one big rear pocket. That also doubles as a place to tuck a jacket, so you can sort of thread it through like it's a jacket loop. They've also got 2 small internal pockets, these little sort of pockets, but I don't really find a huge amount of use for them. When it comes to the fabric, it's quite thick, but it's nicely stretchy, really flexible. It just makes everything feel sort of mildly locked in. It's not compressive, but you do feel kind of snug and secure. The fit for me actually came up a bit snug. I've been using a medium in these shorts, and it is a bit on the tight side, so you maybe want to watch out for the sizing. Some other nice details too. You've got a nice wide, soft drawstring waistband. You've got flat seams inside, and you've got these laser cut hems. There's also a handy key clip inside one of the side pockets on the legs. I may well use these for my tilt at the London Marathon. Those are the Janji 8-inch trail half tights. So we're not quite out of the cold weather here in the UK, and so I've been reaching for this Adidas Terrex Xperior Rain.RDY jacket. It's a seam sealed, relatively lightweight, relatively packable jacket that I think offers decent value when you consider that for jackets that have a similar performance to this, you can pay at least 2.5 times the £100 price tag that you'll pay for this. It is a bit heavier, it's not quite as breathable as something like the lighter North Face Summit Future Light jacket that I recommended on here a few months back. So when temperatures rise a bit, I think it's going to be a little bit overkill. You kind of need some testy weather conditions for this to be sort of at its best, but when it is a bit bleak outside, it's great. I just put it through a proper test on Dartmoor in Devon where we had 0 degrees, whipping winds, mad driving, almost non-stop rain. And for 4.5 hours, the jacket performed well. It offered all the protection that I needed in some really quite exposed conditions. The waterproofing worked well. It was a good barrier against the whipping wind. It's got a couple of big side pockets here that are good for stashing things. I would like a chest pocket, ideally. That's missing here. I do like the friendly cuffs here that are sort of cinchable, stretchable, watch friendly. It's a shame that the hood isn't adjustable, but I'd give it full marks for putting a hanging loop on the back. It's amazing how many jackets don't bother with that small detail, and it really winds me up. So yeah, a good all-round, I think, value jacket for slightly harsh conditions. Now, I recently did a big old Running Fuel Awards test for Runners World magazine as well, which you should definitely read. You'll be able to find that online if you're after tasty running treat ideas. In that mix, I came across these. These are the Decathlon Aptonia fruit jellies, and I have to say, if there was an award for like fruity melting goodness, these super soft pastel bars would probably win or be right up there. Each of these tiny 25-gram fruit jellies crams in a surprising 21-gram carb load, but the best bit for me is that you barely even need teeth to eat them, which is lucky because they are incredibly sweet. They are definitely not dentist approved. They do taste like actual fruit. They almost melt in the mouth. They're really easy and pleasant to scoff. Maybe though better off for when you're on longer, slower ultra style runs. Not sure I'd go for the mid-marathon when you're moving at full tilt. They're also full of stuff that Eddie Abu would certainly question you for eating, but then it's very hard to eat boiled eggs on a long Sunday run. Overall, they're very sweet, kind of tasty, but I like the fact they're compact and you're getting a good hit in what is a very sort of affordable little pastel bar.
First thing I want to mention this month is rolling average pace. This is a free Garmin Connect IQ app that I've installed in a couple of Garmin watches. I've been using it for training and racing over the past few months. I used it to help me pace my race out at the Seville Marathon, and I've used it for lots of training sessions as well ahead of the London Marathon. Like I say, it's a free data field you can get on Garmin watches by downloading this app from the Connect IQ App Store on your phone, using that app and then installing it onto your Garmin watch. Then you can, when you're setting up your customized data fields, you can set it as a data field on there. And rolling pace is similar to split pace or lap pace, which I use a lot, but whereas lap pace gives you your pace for your current kilometer or mile split, rolling pace is for your last mile or kilometer or any distance. That's the point of it. You can set the distance for it within the app. I have it set to 500 meters. So basically it shows my pace for the last 500 meters I've run and just updates live. And what that means in a race where I'm taking 5k splits, often in a marathon, I'm taking those manually. I can see that even if my overall lap pace is good, I can also check my last 500 meter pace to see if I've started to slow down a bit or started to speed up a bit. And also I use it to pace long workouts where again, the reps might be 3k long, something like that. So even if I'm splitting every 3k, I get a little look at my pace over the last 500 meters. Obviously you can set it, like I say, for longer distances or even to time, I think, within this free app. Rolling pace is actually something that Apple Watches have had for a long time. They do it over the last mile or kilometer, but I find it useful to use in conjunction with lap pace. So when you're really trying to dial into a set pace for workouts, like on race day, it's not so important. I'm usually running a bit more to feel or what group I can run with, but in workouts, if I've been set, so I did like an 8 times 3 kilometer workout, for example, I want to make sure that during that 3k, if I start off fast, my lap pace is good, it's on fine. I want to make, at 2k in, I want to make sure that I've not started to drift off the pace or speed up too much in that. Just trying to, really keep it dialed in, and rolling pace helps with that. So I think if you're someone who also does those long workouts and marathon training, or wants another way to maybe look at pacing yourself on race day, certainly an interesting thing to have a look at and download to your Garmin watch. Second thing I want to flag up that I've been testing this month, again during marathon training, is Tailwind's new high carb fuel. This is a high carb fuel, like it says, like it's similar to what other brands have done, people like Morton and OTE Sports. It is a sachet that you make into a drink and it contains 90 grams of carbs. Tailwind says you can mix it with 475 mils of water all the way up to 720 milliliters of water, depending on exactly the strength and consistency you want from your drink. And like I said, you get 90 grams of carbs and electrolytes with it. It's available in the US now, and it is $23.99 for 6 sachets. I think it will come to the UK in time. Like many of these high carb drinks, it's a fairly expensive option, but when you're coming up to long workouts, I really like having a lot of carbs delivered in drink form. I find it's easier on my stomach. And the big plus point, I think, with the Tailwind drinks compared to other brands is the taste. You've got a ginger lime flavour here that's sensational, like the nicest high carb drink for sure I've ever tried, probably the nicest sports drink I've ever tried. And there's lemonade, which is fine, I'm not that into lemonade, but ginger lime is the one to really go for, and I think it's really nice tasting, much nicer tasting than OTE or even the Morton drinks. I'd say when it comes to actual race day, Morton's still probably my preference because of the hydrogel technology that I find makes it easier on my stomach when I'm really running hard. But for more laid back long runs, for like long days on the trails, that kind of thing, or if you're looking actually at someone who's going to race ultra marathons, I think the nicer taste you have here, the fact you mix it over that higher volume of liquid to make it a slightly thinner drink than the other high carb drinks, is certainly helpful, and definitely one worth looking at if you are struggling to get a lot of carbs down. It's a really nice drink. It tastes nice. The ginger lime kind of cuts through the sickliness of lots of sports drinks and that kind of thing, and makes it a bit easier to get down. Very nice taste, lots of carbs, electrolytes, all you need to fuel those long efforts in a convenient sachet form that you can mix at home or even take with you and mix on the go. So yeah, that's Tailwind's high carb drink, something else I've used a lot during the last few weeks of marathon training and enjoyed using it. And the last thing I want to flag up this month I'm actually wearing right now is the Rabbit Easy LS tee. It is a long sleeve running tee, as the name suggests. I've used this now for several months. I've been waiting to put it in after it's gone through quite a few washes and a fair few uses, because it's a really nice soft tee, and I wanted to see if that stopped being the case after several washes. But no, I've been using it pretty much weekly, washing it weekly. Still feels really nice and comfy on the skin. It's got a fairly loose fit, which means it's a bit more comfortable and relaxed for easy runs or hard runs. Pretty warm, but without being too hot or sweaty if it's slightly nicer weather out. And just a tee that I really like using and use a lot. And you can also wear outside your run. So if I'm going to go and do a run after a period in town or something like that, this is a tee I can wear actually around and about, because I think it's got quite a nice relaxed fit and it's a nice colour and a pretty simple, subtle style. So yeah, I really like Rabbit's gear in general. Actually, I've been using quite a lot of their pieces over the past 6 months, and they have all held up really well to multiple washes. They still feel good as new when they come out of the wash. They're comfortable, the fit's good for running without being hyper aggressive, as with some really aggressive running tops that can be very skin tight and that kind of thing. They're comfortable, they feel good, they look good. They're pretty pricey, but they're not as extremely expensive as some of the running gear you get these days. So this top is £48 or $55, which is expensive, but Rabbit is definitely a brand that has, I think, more sales than most. It's a bit similar to Seiski actually, but I think it's maybe probably slightly cheaper, but a brand that has lots of sales, and you can find this for under £40. I've seen it, and it's a good tee all round for running, stands up well to washing and general use, will last you a good long time, and yeah, like I say, I really like it and I use it a lot, so I thought I'd flag it up here.
So recently I've been testing out quite a lot of sunglasses. It's actually quite sunny in the UK now, which is a bit of a change, so it's a good time to actually probably test sunglasses. One of the brands that I've been testing out is Goodr. Now, I've talked about Goodr in quite a lot of videos before. I've always been a big fan of Goodr. I like the design. They've got quite classic style design frames, and normally when I get running sunglasses, I tend to like to look more like normal sunglasses as opposed to performance level sunglasses. Nick's more your man for the performance racy style ones, but Goodr normally make those sort of conventional style glasses, and they normally come in around £20-25, or they have done previously. Recently they've released some newer designs that are a bit more on the performance side of running, but still not expensive. So these are £40. These are the Bolt Gs. Really like these. They feel relatively lightweight on the head. They hold to the head really closely, so there's no bouncing or anything like that. They've got these sort of anti-slip designed arms on them. Work really well. Not any issues at all when I've been out running in these, and the protection from the lenses is really good as well. So really good pair of shades for £40 if you're looking for a nice performance level pair of sunglasses, but you don't want to fork out for some of the really expensive brands out there. These are the Astro Gs, so these are a little bit more out there. These are £40 as well. They've obviously got much bigger lenses in them, but they've still got exactly the same features that you get in the Bolt Gs. These are made for slightly larger heads, but both of them fit me absolutely fine. I've not had any problems with it bouncing around or slipping, and they've still got the same modifiable nose cover thing to make it fit your nose. But yeah, really like these as well. I actually prefer the look of these. I wouldn't have thought that I'd have liked this look, but I think they're quite 80s, and I'm quite into the 80s. So yeah, so these new shades from Goodr, very impressed with them and well worth the money, because 40 quid when you compare it with some of the really expensive shades out there is not too much. Next thing I've been testing out is this BodyGlide Skin Glide. So this is anti-friction cream. I've used it a few times, but I used it for Manchester Marathon on Sunday, and Manchester Marathon was very hot and I was very sweaty. And I just remembered to take this with me before I left, because I very rarely remember to take Vaseline or anything like that. This isn't Vaseline, it's actually more like a moisturising cream, which when you put it on feels just like you're applying a moisturiser. But then once it's on, it starts to act more like Vaseline, and stops friction, stops chafing, all those sorts of things. So, and I'm not a big fan of putting on Vaseline. I don't like the feel of it. I don't like knowing I've got it on, and I don't feel particularly comfortable with it. But this is much nicer. It just feels like you're putting on some moisturiser, and does a great job as well. After Manchester Marathon, I was not in a good state. There could have been a lot of chafing in there based on how sweaty I was, and this was absolutely fine. I had no issues at all after the marathon. So nice and simple one. BodyGlide Skin Glide, well worth looking if you want something to stop a bit of chafing from your running. Okay, my third pick is these Rab Talus 2-in-1 shorts. These are the 7-inch. I really like these. So I'm a bit funny when it comes to shorts. I have quite a lot of pairs of shorts, and I'm not a massive fan of most of them. I tend to just rotate 4 or 5 pairs all the time that I really like. And these Rab ones came in. I decided to use them for the Manchester Marathon because the Soar shorts that I normally use, I've put them in too hot a wash and they've perished a bit, and I needed another pair of shorts to wear. So I used these a couple of times beforehand, but then I decided to use them for Manchester Marathon because I was really enjoying wearing them. They are 2-in-1, so they have a liner in them that does a really good job. It's got these sort of rubber bits at the bottom of it, but it hugs the legs really nicely, so it's really good at stopping chafing, but also feels pretty comfortable as well. They're not too tight, and they don't feel restrictive in any way. The design of it is quite slimline, so they're not baggy in any way, but they're not too tight either. They feel very comfortable on the legs, and they fit very nicely. Other things about these as well, so these are technically trail shorts, I think, but I never really know why some shorts are trail shorts and some aren't. This is actually a really good pair for running a marathon or running a long distance, because it has 2 side mesh pockets in, which can fit a couple of gels in each of them. At the back you've got a zip pocket, which you can use gels, or you can put your keys and stuff in it, or your credit cards if you're going out for a long run or if you're racing. And it also has 2 pockets on the liner for your phone, or more gels if you want. Basically, it's a really good storage pair of shorts. The side pockets for the phones, it's not big enough. I've got a Pixel 9 XL. It's not big enough for that, but if you've got a smaller phone, like one of the smaller iPhones, it should be fine in there, and it really holds closely against the legs. Not really much else to say about this, apart from it's got a pull tag on the front so you can tighten them up, but I didn't need to do that. But overall, really comfortable, solid pair of shorts. I used them for Manchester Marathon and I was very, very pleased with them. I didn't have any discomfort from them throughout the whole of the run, and they felt very comfy. So I'll definitely be using these more often for races. Got a few races this weekend actually, and I might wear these for that. So that's the Rab Talus 7-inch 2-in-1 shorts. Well worth a look. My final pick this month is a treadmill. Now, we don't normally put treadmills in this, but I've been testing one over the past few months because over the winter period where I live, it's very, very difficult to go out when it's really wet and windy because the road sections around where I live aren't particularly great, and normally I like to run on the trails and off-road, but in the winter I can't really do that because it gets so muddy around here that if I'm training for a marathon, I just can't maintain any sort of pace on it. It's not a very enjoyable experience. So I decided to give a treadmill a go over the winter months, and I went for testing the Decathlon DOMYOS Compact Run 100E. Now, this treadmill has been out for quite a while, and there are newer versions that are on the website, but as a result it means it's a lot cheaper on the website now. So at the moment it costs £379.99, reduced from around £500, presumably because it might be coming to the end of its life and new versions will take over it. But that price is pretty good for this treadmill. So I've been using it for mainly easy runs. The treadmill is top speed 14 kilometers per hour, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I did find that I wasn't really running at that pace when I was doing easy runs on it, which is essentially the only thing I was really using it for by the end of the testing period that I was using it. That was pretty nippy speed for me running. I definitely tended to sit around the 10 to 12 mark because all I wanted to get out of it was distance and just build up my endurance whenever I had an opportunity to do it. And I didn't want to go outside in the rain. So the treadmill itself, it's pretty basic, but it does have pretty much everything you might need from just doing your sort of general daily runs. It goes up to 14 kilometers per hour, which is fine for if you're just doing easy type stuff, but it does come with 30 preset programs. So you get endurance, fat burn, and you get intervals. Now, I tried a few of those. They are pretty similar. They're not the most in-depth training sessions. You're essentially just going up and down based on different times, but they're absolutely fine if you are the sort of person that is looking to just tick off some miles on a treadmill. You don't want to go out all the time. Maybe you can't leave the house for various reasons like childcare or stuff like that. It's a pretty good option for the price. The build of the treadmill is pretty good. So what I found is that when I was running on it, it wasn't too loud. You can buy a pad underneath it, but it was definitely not louder than other treadmills that I've used at different places, so it was fairly good for that. The belt is relatively wide. I didn't have any problems at all. I didn't feel like I was going to go too far off it. It's obviously not as wide as something that you go on in a big gym, but it's absolutely fine. Didn't have any issues on it at all. The big selling point of this treadmill though is that it compacts. So basically you fold down the arms, you push down the front section of it, and it all sits against the belt, and then you pull it up and you push it against the wall, and it all looks pretty good. It's not the thinnest treadmill that you'd have vertically up on against a wall, but it's absolutely fine. And I just have it next to the fridge in the kitchen, and it just sits there, and it doesn't really get in the way. The screen is pretty simple, so it's not got like a big touch screen or anything like that. It's a little digital screen that you have buttons underneath it, and you can just see the top level stuff that you're going to get from it, like the speed that you're running and the time, things like that. There's not loads of information on it, so it's pretty simple what you get. But that's absolutely fine for what I was using it for. Most of the runs that I was doing were about 5k. Most I'd go on it for is about 40 minutes because I really struggled to stay on a treadmill for longer than that. But it was absolutely fine for that. I didn't really need anything else on the screen for that. It does link with various apps, so it links with the DOMYOS app, which allows you to create your own workouts on it. But to be honest, based on the actual things that you can do on it, it doesn't have an incline or decline that you can change on the settings. It has a manual one that changes it to 3% if you just take the back sections off of it, but you cannot change that on there. So really the only options you've got are going up to that 14 kilometers per hour. So there's probably not a lot that you'd want to do with an interval session on it. So for me, using the app there's not a lot of point to it. It's a pretty simple app as well when you use it. You can use Zwift on it. I haven't tested that because I don't use Zwift, but all in all, I was pretty impressed with it. So if you're looking for a pretty solid all-round cheapish treadmill that is compact enough to put against a wall and move out of the way, I think it's a very good option, and it's a lot cheaper now than some of the other options out there. The other thing as well is it's built like a normal treadmill. A lot of the treadmills that people buy these days that are cheap either come with no handles or really small little handles that don't feel very safe. This one does feel pretty sturdy. I didn't have any issues at all when I was on it, and I could lean on it quite comfortably, so I didn't have any safety fears that I was going to fall over and not be able to hold on to anything, which is always my fear when you see those ones that people use that are just a flat mat on the floor and they don't have any sort of rails or anything like that to use. So all in all, I was very impressed by this treadmill. So if you're looking for a cheap treadmill, it may be worth a look in, especially at the price it's at the moment. That's it from us on the monthly roundup. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and click that little bell. And if you're going to catch and blow, you can find a link to our podcast, which comes out a couple of times each month. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you next time.